we need some lighting over here.
That's right. You weren't afforded the advanced setup like me here, so
I'm trying, but I
we'll
don't
bear
know.
with you.
Let me grab the other thing real quick.
Yeah, of course. So I'm looking forward to getting started because I want to share with all of you an interesting common ground that Venerable Tridao and I have together. I'm pleased to have found this commonality. Those of you that know me in my background, you might be able to sense what commonality the two of us have, which is really cool to discover. Right on.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to be high tech, but okay. All right. I'm ready when you are.
You're looking good over there. You're looking good.
Okay.
I can hear you and I can see you,
Okay.
and that's what matters.
Okay. Good. All right.
Wonderful.
I think we're ready to go whenever you are.
Yeah. You know, I reached out to you as somebody who I discovered, I don't even know how long, on TikTok, because TikTok is one of those platforms that highlights, well, for me in my algorithm, it's going to show me the people that I'm aligned with,
Right.
and that are saying things that are very true to me or that I need to hear.
Right.
Sometimes they give us videos of things that we need to hear. Sometimes we don't want to hear it, but if we're in tune enough to know that this is important. So I started following you over there, and it's interesting because I don't know, maybe there's a lot of monks out there that are posting on social media, but I haven't seen much. And so you were one that obviously really stood out to me. And are there others, would you say, that are doing the same, or do you consider yourself a rarity in the...
I've seen a few Vietnamese monks. I've seen a few monks from Bangladesh on the Asia side of the world. They're trying their best to compose all of the 84,000 teachings and deliver them as best as they can. So I am, I'm also doing my best just to see if I can reach as many as I can with the message of love, peace, and understanding. But I think we're all doing the best that we can. I wouldn't consider myself a rare monk.
Well, to reach 1 million followers that you have on TikTok, that is where, and not only that, more importantly, it's awesome that you have reached that many people, because that's the goal, that's the mission, is to pass this message of peace and love and compassion to the world, isn't it?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, the TikTok thing was just an experiment. I mean, my whole life's an experiment. Truly, I didn't set out to, I didn't finish my 5 year of apprenticeship and then said, yeah, I think it would be a great idea to get on TikTok and do this. I just tried it during the COVID times. But I think what the world picks up is a monk who has done the homework. And the subject today is compassion for oneself and for others. And I had to do the homework on myself, which is to walk and confront directly with the pain and loss of my grandmother and best friend, and hitting rock bottom, and what did that mean to me, and how I had to walk that difficult path of suicidal ideation. I mean, I was just struggling. I was just trying to just get by. And as a direct result of facing the pain head on and trying to make sense of my journey and swimming out of it, and learning the path to peace, and actually meditated, actually sat and had compassion for myself. That's, I think, the world sees the authenticity, the genuineness of, this is a person, this is a human that have in fact suffered. He suffered clearly, and he managed to liberate himself, and make sense of his suffering, and now teaching others to do the same.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. right? All humans are suffering, but not all of us are facing our suffering
Right.
in a compassionate way.
Yeah.
But we're having some thoughts about that are not compassionate within our suffering, such as those suicidal thoughts or engaging in addictive behaviors or other sort of self-harming,
right?
Bringing us more suffering than we already have.
Right.
And then that's where we reach that turning point.
Right.
What was it for you that motivated you to follow this monastic path, this path towards Buddhism?
So I was born and raised Catholic, actually, and my grandmother was Buddhist. But there was something about going into church that just made me felt very cold. I didn't feel like I was close to God. I felt like I was far from God. And of course, most things we do are sins, as young adolescents, anyways. And I just felt a big sense of guilt. I prayed a lot. I don't think most of my prayers was answered. There was this really conflicting ideologies and philosophy that I didn't really align much with. So, and I also didn't get along with my mom or dad. My dad sided with my mom, and I didn't get along with my mom. My grandmother, however, was a very unique, special human being. She was quiet, reserved. Because she's meditated for so long, and there was something about that peace and quiet and tranquility and serenity that she carried herself that I was always just like a magnet. And I was just, what is it about this woman in her 70s that is so peaceful and quiet? And when I looked at my grandmother, when we both looked at each other, there was a sense of compassion and understanding that, like grandma, do you see that I'm suffering? It's like she understood my suffering, and vice versa. So she took me to monasteries where I sat with her and learned the Buddhist ways. When she passed away, I described that she was perhaps the only best friend I had, that I could relate to, that I could cry to, that I, felt seen, felt heard, and felt respected in life as a young man. And so when she passed away, I knew that the answer would lie in the monastery. The answer lies in Buddhism. And off I went. I figured, I can't live this life of, self harm, of addiction. And had I not veered towards the path to peace, I knew that I was going to be dead or probably in prison. The same justice system we both served for so long.
That's right. That was our common ground that we discovered when we first started to introduce ourselves to one another. Was working for myself in the criminal justice system, people who are incarcerated or in conflict with the law, and trying to offer them compassion and non-judgment in a very uncompassionate and judgmental system.
Yeah.
Was my sort of training ground for really cultivating what compassion means. And that is not easy to give to other people who are in those positions of being a perpetrator and a victimizer.
Yeah.
A lot of people would project hate on that type of person.
Right.
Whereas you have to, I guess you can relate to the understanding of karma, right? Like, well, what was their path that they had gone on, and what was the path of the person who had been victimized by this person as well?
Right. Right.
So we want to always overcome the hate with compassion, which is a practice. It is a practice to cultivate it. And for yourself, you were somebody who was in different types of courts, whether they were criminal or civil, or family type of courts, and interpreting as a Vietnamese interpreter.
Yes.
So really immersed in those stories of people's suffering and offering them that compassion. We both did for 20 years, so that's a pretty cool alignment that we have there.
It was rough. It was rough. It was direct clinical experience, no doubt. But they never prepared us. I was trained at the Supreme Court, the second DCA in Florida. But nothing prepared us for the emotional impact that had in divorce court. The oh, mom, sửa cái đó giùm con, nó chiếu phía này. Sorry, one of my other camera just went. Sửa lại cho nó chiếu phía này. Nothing prepared for like cancer cases, end of life stages, cancer cases, and so that part of me hitting rock bottom was the accumulated stories that I had collected in my career of watching people die in front of me, in cancer cases. And then the criminal world didn't really impact me that much because, truth be told, I was also judgmental because I didn't know how to deal with it either, because the killing, the raping and all this. So I was just like, oh my God, you did that to somebody. I was a young man. I started out as 18. I mean, I looked like a 15-year-old kid in court. I'm 37 now. And so, but I would say it's a blessing, and it worked out in my life. The collective stories that I have gathered helped me understand human behavior, to look past the behavior and into the person. Yeah. That's what's so important, and will be key central to our talk today, is looking past the behavior and into the person, and looking into yourself, looking past your behavior and into yourself. Who are you? That's what the spiritual path is all about.
Yes. Yeah. I love that, because it's a mirror. You're looking at others, and the way you're seeing them, is that reflection to the way you're seeing yourself? And is that accurate? What sort of assumptions do we have? Judgments everywhere. We're prone. We are. Would you say innately we are judgmental, or would you say innately we are not judgmental, and that we've formed this judgment? Like, what would you say about that?
Study of history and anthropology and sociology tells us that we had to judge in order to survive, ensure the survival of our groups.
Yeah.
Because we had to label who's bad, who's good, if they're misbehaving from social norms or from the norms that our group have set forth, the rules. No different in the monk life also, too. We have 227 rules with thousands of amendments to the rules to live by. And if someone kind of astray from the path, we had to make note of it. We also have to learn to define the word judge, being judgmental and judge. And sometimes that word is necessary if you understand the meaning of it, because it can mean different things to different people on its weight and intensity and severity of it.
Yeah.
The Buddha too had to also discern. We can also replace the word judgment for wise discernment.
Discernment. I was just going to say that word, discerning. Yeah.
I can read your mind. I'm a monk. I don't have any special powers. The discernment, and what I always say is evaluation and assessment. Right? So now all my students who sit around, and I tell them, you need to assess and you need to evaluate, and I teach them the how, so that they know how to assess and evaluate other humans, their behavior, their cognitive thinking, and their speech, what we call body, speech, and mind, action, speech, and thinking, so that we can make sense of their world quite fairly quickly and make an informed decision as to how we're going to approach this wisely and intelligently.
That's right.
Yeah. Discerning.
Yeah, there needs to be a big difference between judgmental, based on assumptions, stories, inadequate information, versus being discerning. And when we're being discerning, we're asking questions, right? We're being curious.
Right. We're trying to,
to understand.
Right. We're trying to investigate and just wanting to know the why and the how. I think people use the word judgment, the misuse of the word judgment, because it's faster and easier and less mentally taxing. Anytime when we have to think of an alternative vocabulary, it's very energetically consuming. It consumes a lot of energy, brain power. and it takes patience and just trying to press the brakes in our brains and really meet the person where they're at, and not jump to conclusions without evidence. So the art of meditation teaches you to slow down a little bit. What is happening here, and how come the physiology is faster than our cognitive thinking? Getting angry, quick to anger, you know, understanding a lot of neuroscience helps with compassion and helps with the understanding of anger. Those two will always intermingle, step on each other, coincide. Anger and compassion is just always clashing. So we have to really
Yeah,
come to understand those two and how they correlate one another. Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Because I would say that anger is that non-mindful reaction versus compassion is a mindful response. Right? When we look at like the reacting versus responding
Right.
types of behaviors.
Yes.
So how would you say that the practice of mindfulness, contributes to building self-compassion? And maybe even just what is mindfulness?
We, all right. So when we look at the lack of compassion for oneself, is that when we close our eyes and we kind of observe our story, the first thing comes up is the story in our head. How badly I messed up. I said this to her. I caused this breakup. I hurt him, her and him interchangeable. Even they, groups of people. This is what I did. I stole, I cheated, and I lied. Very common behaviors in us humans. And to a certain extent and severity of that act, we realize the regret, the remorse, the regret. And it kind of sticks in our head there for a while, depending on what was said and what was done to the victims. And we beat ourselves up. It's like, wow, I can't turn back the hands of time. And I have to live with this for the rest and remaining balance of my natural life. So we tell ourselves these stories. Um, and if it is repetitive, we beat ourselves up 10 times worse. I did it. I cheated over and over and over again. I stole over and over and over again. I was arrested over and over and over and over again. All right. So it's like, all right, all right. So we get it. We get that it was repetitive actions that was unwholesome. Right. The words have tremendous amount of power. The Buddha described it as unwholesome actions and unwholesome thoughts. Okay, we don't call it a sin just because the weight of that word alone is not psychologically healthy. So again, so our mind goes back in the past a lot when we sit and we meditate, and it also fuels anxiety in the future when we meet other people. It's like, oh, I don't know about this next relationship I'm going to get into. I'm not sure if my cheating, lying, and stealing tendencies are going to come back. I don't want to make a mistake. So it kind of like fuels each other, depression and anxiety, back and forth, the story in our head. So the practice of dependent origination. So there's certain practices before you get into meditation. This is the Jidao way. This is my way of teaching. I have found it to be most effective as it works for me and has worked for many hundreds of my students. You trace the links of influence is so that you understand the how and the why. Why was I this angry? Why did I cheat it? Why did I stole? Why did I lie? Possibly because somebody in the family lied a lot. Possibly someone taught you how to lie. Someone taught you how to manipulate when you were younger. So therefore you pick this up. When we were children, we were like these recording devices. We were like these recording devices that just watched and listened, had no opinion, didn't know what on earth was happening. We absorb all this information in, kind of like a robot, and then we operated on what we knew to ensure our survival. And with the role models that we had, and with the attachment that we had to that caregiver. So when you start tracing the links of influence, which is to write down as early as you can remember how young you were, who you were with, what you did, what they did, and to try to connect the links together and say, and see, oh, I remember when I was 7, I saw my father screaming at my mom, and that lasted about 3 years, 4 years, and there was domestic violence. When we start seeing this together, we realize that it concurs with psychology and what we know about human development, and realize that, wow, I was molded, I was formed, I was cultivated to be angry. The formation of my anger, the cultivation of my anger, of course, involuntarily, because you were a child, you didn't know anything, nor did you have any power, jurisdiction, authority over the adults. So you just kind of picked all of this up and now operate on this platform. So that's very important to know. So as when you have that wisdom, and once you've connected the links together, you are secure in the knowledge that I know where my anger comes from. Now I know. And once you know, once you have insight into that, the next question becomes, what is the point of beating yourself up? Because you couldn't do any better, because you didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And Jesus said, forgive them for they know not what they do. And you didn't know what you were doing. So therefore, you need to forgive yourself. And the teachings of Christ is never tired of forgiving and never tired of asking for forgiveness.
Right.
I actually merged the two together. I think sometimes people are like, well, which side are you on, dude? Because, yeah, as you are beating yourself up, you forgive yourself. And you ask the universe to forgive you because you didn't know any. You were born into this family. You were born into these circumstances according to your karma. And it just played out the way that it played out. And now we have to move forward, because the problem is we think we have time when we in fact don't.
It's almost like when you know better, you can do better. So when you didn't know better, okay, well, no faults of your own, but now that you know, okay, now what are you going to do? How are you going to reconcile yourself, so to speak?
I wanted to add, because a lot of people out there goes, well, they knew better, but they still did it anyways. And now let's face that question towards us, right? You knew better, but you did it anyways. Now we also have to think that, see, this is where the judgment comes in. The quick to judgment comes in because of lack of wisdom of knowing, number one, we are an organism. Number two, we are an animal just like any other animals that roam around the earth. What separates us from them, Homo sapien, sapien means intelligence, is our cognitive abilities.
Yeah.
Number four, we are very slow to change. Very slow to change. Just examine yourself as direct evidence how slow it was for you to figure out the iPhone when the iPhone first came out. Direct evidence and examination on others as how slow they were to change their anger, how slow they were to change their habits. Old habits die hard.
Yeah.
So even though we know that they know, and even though we know that we know, but yet we're still making the same mistakes over and over again. Just look at how many times you put the toilet seat up or down, how many times you forgot the shoes outside the door or inside the door or on the carpet. How many times you made that mistake, a minor mistake, but it was a mistake, but you knew better, but you still made those mistakes repetitively. Nonetheless, anything more philosophical, such as anger and forgiving, some of these things are so easy to hear and conceptualize, but yet so difficult to change on a daily basis.
Yeah, I love that you made that point, because sure, we know better, but we don't do better because we're still getting something out of that old behavior. Yeah. We're still feeding something from it, and it's so different for everyone. There's something, and like, for instance, for addiction, right? Somebody knows, like, smoking these cigarettes is like super bad for my health. I know, I'm aware that these are gonna give me cancer or whatever, secondhand smoke to other people as well. I know better, but I'm still getting something out of this behavior. It's still serving some need that I have that I haven't learned to meet this need in a different way, or I haven't learned how to not make this need as important. This need is very important to me. So there's that prioritization. Yeah, we're complex. We're very complex beings over here. We're not the robots that, we never want to become that way. So but we do want to learn to give ourselves some grace. Right? Give ourselves some grace when we are behaving in those ways that we know better. Are we beating ourselves up for it?
So
doing it.
So one of our practices is loving kindness meditation, and it's like, so you monks sit and you repeat, may I be well, be happy, be free, always be healthy. May I be free from mental suffering, may I be free from physical suffering. So why do we sit there all the time, well, most of the time, or incorporate this salient in our practice? Why do we do this frequently, repeating this over and over in our head? And I think one thing that people don't understand is we are reprogramming our mind so that we stop taking actions of the judgmental, the words in our heads. I want to slow down a little bit and explain the woulda, coulda, shoulda, and the no. Where of which, growing up, a lot of adults, in order to save us from burning our fingers on the stove and not to write on the wall, they said, no, you should not do that. Do not do that. No, don't ever do that again. So all of these repetitive words is jammed into our head like 167,000 times over and over again. There's a whole big science behind it. We all know that the study of psychology is we are prone to negativity, thinking negatively about situation, people, things, and places in order to ensure our survival. If I let you loose at night, of course, you turn the corner on a dark corner, you're going to think, oh God, there's going to be a lot of snakes. There's going to be a tiger around the corner. I don't think I want to go around that corner at night. We're always fearful. We're always filled with anxiety. So we were already pre-programmed to be anxious and scared and afraid and just thinking negative thoughts so that we could ensure our survival. You're less likely to make foolish decisions if you're scared of whatever is going on. Okay. Sorry, it's a 911 TikTok monk. So, and now with the existence of adults telling you no, should not, do not. When you see that play out every day, how that makes you think negatively and how you impose that onto other people too. Shouldn't do that. Don't do that. Do not ever do that again. No. So we want to replace those vocabulary with loving kindness. Changing the vocabulary, basically hitting the delete button as much as we can, slowly, gradually. The narrative, the paragraphs, the book in our head, and to rewrite that story in our head of positivity. And slowly it takes effect. It could take years. It depends on how flexible, malleable, neuroplasticity you are for it to take effect. Loving kindness probably could take anywhere from months to years to see results. You have to really commit to it. You have to say, I'm tired of being sick and tired of being judgmental to myself and to other people.
Yeah. That whole, I'm not getting anything out of this anymore. Yeah.
back to the meditative part is that you need a good qualifying, authentic, experienced teacher and or a coach that really knows what's happening, because so much of these pop up in your head. We're trying to slow down the mind so we can see things clearer. And when we close our eyes, so many competing stories, so many competing stories of the past and of the future that poses different directions. So that's why we suggest a couple minutes and gradually increase, so that you build tolerance and endurance and know what to do when these thoughts come, how to observe them without judgment, how to direct and redirect them to where they need to go, what is important to address right now and what is not. And I incorporate cognitive behavioral therapy in it. We got to use the best available science that that we know about the mind, to now be the referee of your own mind, which is silly, right? Which is kind of difficult too, because it's like we're using the mind to fix the mind. We're using the one thing that causes us a lot of problems to now fix itself.
Can't use the mind to fix the mind. What do
Right.
we need to use today?
Yeah. So I wonder if you had any follow-up questions because I gave a lot of information when it comes to these details.
No, it's wonderful and it's true, because what you spoke about was conditioning.
Right.
We've been conditioned into these patterns of behavior, and our behavior is directly a response to the way we think. And so you would think, well, if I want to change my thinking, I want to fix this mind, then I need to change my thinking. And to a certain degree, that is true. But you can't change the thinking that you're not aware of. And so I think that's where having the ability to pay attention, having the ability to have that awareness of, I don't know what I don't know, so let me find out what it is that I'm missing to fill in these gaps.
Right.
And before you spoke about all that, I was saying, yeah, we're not robots. But then as you were talking, and I've had this happen before to myself, where I'm like, we kind of are like robots. We are like these computer programs that are being programmed, and sometimes they've got viruses, they've got malware, they've got these pop-ups that are annoying, that distract us from our tasks. So when we're doing that loving kindness meditation, that's saying, I am at peace, may I be safe, may I be well, may I be at peace. That is that reconditioning, when we're repeating that over and over. Because you said we could have heard the opposite of, you're useless, you're worthless, what are you doing, you're good for nothing, you're annoying, all these negative things that take up a lot of space. So to counteract it takes time. We can't just do this once and be like, well, I did it. It didn't work. That doesn't work.
Yeah, it also helps to choose wise friend on the path to peace, on the path of spirituality, because having toxic friends plays such a big role in the compounding of one's suffering unnecessarily, because they gaslight and they also tell you things like you're weird, you're impatient, you're this, you're that, a lot of judge stuff that we already know, and we don't need to hear that. So the discernment of choosing wise friend, the Kalyana Mita is what the Buddha call it, on the path, so that everyone's kind of doing somewhat of the homework together and ultra aware how they're contributing to each other's vocabularies and suffering, so they don't cause unnecessary suffering. Skillful, trying to choose skillful friends.
It really is. And sometimes we're too compassionate to those people. That voids us of our own. So you know, and I think that the practice of mindfulness, what is it that you know holds people back from wanting to be curious and wanting to pay attention?
What holds people back? The unknown.
Yeah.
When you close your eyes and you focus on it's boring. Number one, it's boring, and number two, the unknown. If we think about boredom relates to death, very similar, because
Yeah.
people who are dead, or there's no action there, that's boredom. And when we sit and there's no stimulation and there's nothing to look forward to, that we're like, oh my goodness, what am I doing here? This is scary. This feels like death, a moment of death, a death of moment, that I'm sitting here doing nothing but focusing on my breath. So therefore, self-inquiry and self-investigation becomes harder when we're asking you to sit with a silent, which is like the worst thing ever. Scientists have done so many experiments, and people would rather give money, they would sacrifice so many things not to sit with the silence, because they're like, oh my god, I don't know what's going to happen when I close my eyes. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm so afraid right now, and I can't bear to be alone right now. Loneliness, boredom, the unknowns, and the fear of the unpleasantness, which is part of the meditation in Vipassana, insight meditation, being aware of unpleasant feelings, sensations, thoughts that could arise, and anything that is unpleasant we push away naturally, persistently, ardently. We don't want to face any of that. That's why I say, this is why we teachers hope to inspire you all by and through our own change. And it's good to find a good, authentic, experienced teacher or coach, so that you trust the teacher, you trust the process. The discernment that the teacher has, in fact, done their homework, has enough experience in life, has enough life experience, has learned the way, according to science, has learned the way that has worked for the masses of people, and can teach this in an authentic, kind way. And so when they trust the teacher in the process, they cultivate faith and confidence. Hopefully in the process, unshakable faith and confidence that the teacher can, in fact, help me liberate myself, from the demons within, the illusions within my mind, the psychological demon that roots deeply inside of me. That's what the Buddha called it, was Mara, M-A-R-A, the psychological demon, which is what I call, in a fun way, the lawyer in your head. Right? You know what I mean? Everyone has, and it's this also lawyer in each person's head that dissuade you from approaching a qualifying teacher, an authentic, experienced teacher. Also dissuades you from practicing meditation, dissuades you from the path to peace and spirituality. So it's just like, people don't know how to think. They don't know how to crack the whip on the lawyer. The lawyer should be seen, or the mind should be seen, as like 5 little puppies. How are you going to let 5 little puppies run your life? How? That's silly. It's a silly thing, but yet you let your mind run your life and pull and push you different directions. We trust everyone else, but we don't trust ourselves. And obviously we don't trust the lawyer in our head.
What would you say, like, as a teacher, to somebody who was sitting there in a mindful practice and these fears are coming up for them? There are things that are coming up to the surface for them that they're uncomfortable with, or that they don't want to have come up. What would you say to them? How would you guide them in that experience?
Number one, we suffer more in imagination than actual real danger. That's the wisdom to know that first before we close our eyes. Number two,
Okay.
my dad says, "Den do den." Den do den means whatever comes, comes. It is what it is, and it can't be what it ain't. The wisdom to know that, the wisdom to repeat that in your head. Whatever comes, comes. It is what it is, and it can't be what it ain't. So as the hell is coming into your mind, oh my God, tomorrow is gonna be a wildfire. Tomorrow's gonna be an earthquake. I might trip and die, and there's bills that's gonna come, and it's like, okay, we'll deal with it when it comes. But right now, we're meditating. Right now, we're in this present moment, and right now, let's focus on our breath. Right now, let's analyze the breath. Right now, do we know that our tummy's rising and falling? Right now, can we feel the temperature of the air that we're breathing? Only this moment right now is real, is actual reality, and peace right now. So as you practice that, the mindfulness of the breath, which is prerequisite before getting into advanced level meditation, this is Anapanasati in Theravadan Buddhism. There's so much to do with the breath. It's so much fun. It is exactly by and through the breath that the Buddha achieved enlightenment, peace, serenity, and liberation. So we replicate that in small dosage and then gradually increase. And so eventually, you realize that. So as kids too, adults or kids, they're always afraid. We're always afraid. But when you put your hands on your tummy, you realize, I'm here. I am in this room. I'm here. It's the monster underneath my bed is not going to eat me, and there's no Godzilla standing outside the door. I'm here, and if he's standing outside the door, he's still outside the door, and he's not here. I'm here, and just in breath and out breath, and just feel like I'm chilling, dude. I'm chilling. I am groovy. I'm golden right now.
That's right. That tiger is not coming to gobble me up. I'm safe in this moment. In this moment, I'm safe.
Right. And I know all of our listeners are going, yeah, it's easy for y'all to say, but I have a lot of anxiety right now. And I get it. I share the same mutual understanding with all of you, but but you have to do something about it, right? Trying to dismiss this on a intellectual or conceptual level would be a mistake. Stopping to understand what I'm trying to say, what both of us are trying to say, and trying it out and giving it time to take effect. Because the problem is, this has worked for 2,600 years, 2,566 years to be exact. Had it not worked, this uniform would have not been in existence today. I wouldn't join the order if this didn't work, right? And mind you all, yes, there are some people who try to sell religion, try to sell stuff. This practice, this philosophy, this school of Buddhism, Theravadins, we don't charge money. Everything we do is for free. We wouldn't sit here and waste all of your time to tell you that, oh, yeah, you should try this, you should try that, when in fact science have not backed it up, when in fact it does not achieve results. So this is where could be your start of your own path to peace, the mitigation of anxiety and depression, and the start of quality of life and what that means to you. Good life equals a good death. But I just wanted to bring this to awareness because I know a lot of people have that lawyer in their head and they're like, yeah, easy for y'all to say, but it's not working out for me. But have you tried it? And have you tried it under good, qualifying, authentic guidance?
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Well, I tried that once and it didn't work and it wasn't for me. Oh, so you just give up, right? Maybe it was the wrong practice, the wrong time, or we're in the wrong mindset or whatever it is to continue. It is a tried and true practice that many people have, yourself included. Right? I know for myself, the practice of meditation and mindful meditation, insight meditation, breath work can be very meditative as well. Even just walking meditations, being in the moment, tuning into your five senses, being in the here and now. It's life-changing. It's life-changing because life is right now. When you're in the past, right, they say that's when you're in depression. You're in the future, that's when you're feeling anxious. So right now, this is where we have peace. Unless you're sitting in the middle of a war zone, then but
Right.
life still is taking place, right?
What's also comforting to know is that the Buddha left us very specific instructions on how to do it. Quick, fast instructions on how to do it. No different than buying a remote and they're like, number one, put the batteries in. Number two, hold this button down. Number three, your TV is now programmed. And the Buddha left us a lot of simple, easy instructions for us to achieve peace by and through breath work.
Yeah. I think people think it's too simple. How can something so simple be so life-changing and so impactful? It's got to be more. There's got to be more to it.
Well, there is. Well, you just got to start with the basics first. There's 84,000 teachings. Trust me, there is more to it. But you just have to balance. You just have to know that he left his instructions that is simple and easy, and there are stages of enlightenment that you can achieve. We call it the 4 stages of enlightenment. And as you do your research, you realize, oh, okay, I'm climbing the ladder. And then the teachings on karma, the teachings on dependent origination. So we gradually, it's like college work. But you start off with 9th grade, freshman year, and then you go to sophomore and then junior. And then when you graduate, you have become a full saint. We call that arahant. Yeah, you can achieve sainthood. And there are definitions for sainthood. And it's cool because once you become an arahant, you're unmoved by anything that is good or bad. You're basically a very content rock. You're a very content rock in the world.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, how about we finish off today with a practice? Because it's one thing to talk about it. We want to be about it a little bit. So it would be an honor for you to lead us in a loving kindness meditation, as you were just speaking about, and a way to start for us to reprogram those voices in our mind, get that lawyer out of there, and get something more compassionate talking to us. So I will hand that to you.
So let us get into our favorite sitting meditation position, no matter where you are. If you are sitting at home, on the couch, in the car, hopefully it's parked. Let us set aside our worries. Let us set aside things that we have done in the past as they are now over. Let us have the wisdom to know today you receive new information, the good news, the news from the Buddha, the news to now we have instructions to do better, to be better, to feel better, in fact. And as part of our practice, loving kindness is one of them. Metta meditation, found in the Visuddhimagga, the path to purification. And let us sit with our back straight, shoulders relaxed. We can do it with our eyes open or closed, relaxing all of the muscles on our face, bringing a small smile to our face, realizing in this moment we are healthy, we are well, we're breathing, we're conscious, we are alert, we are intelligent, we are alive. We take 3 deep breaths to calm our mind. After our 3 deep breaths, we bring that small smile back. We wish ourselves, may I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from danger. May I be well. May I be free from mental suffering. May I be free from disturbing emotions. May I be free from disturbing thoughts. May I be free from physical ailments. May I be free from physical suffering. As we observe our breath, and now we radiate the loving kindness to other human beings around us, that live with us, that is in our community, that is at our gas station, our fellow humans who are driving on the road. May we reflect the existence of suffering for all of us humans, that all of us are subject to old age, decay, disease, and death. But all of our fellow human beings experience the same through different stages of their lives. We wish them the following. May my friends, my teachers, my relatives, my fellow humans, my neighbors, may they also be well. May they also be happy. May they be healthy. May they be free from disturbing emotions. May they be free from disturbing thoughts. May they be free from mental suffering. May they be free from physical suffering. May all achieve a long life. May all know what it's like to be at peace. May all know what it's like to have compassion for oneself. May all know what it's like to have compassion for other fellow humans. May all knows how to forgive. May all know what it's like to forgive. May all knows how to ask for forgiveness. May all achieve world peace. As we come to conclusion of this meditation, is my blessing for all of you. As I put my hands together, irradiating my blessing, my intentions, my thoughts, my deep understanding and compassion, that I radiate this compassion with all of you, the north side, the south side, the west side of the city, the east side of the city, in the four corners of the world, in the four directions in the world, that all of you achieve peace. May you always be happy. May you always be well. May you always be healthy. May you realize the light of your own true nature. May all of you be healed and be a significant source of healing for other people. Satu, satu, satu. At this time, you can relax your concentration. And when you are ready, you can arise from this meditation.
Thank you so much, Venerable Tridao. It's been such a pleasure having you here and talking to you. I could talk to you for hours more.
I'll be here. I'll be here for more down the road, more sessions, more discussions. If you like, I'm available to you and to the public at any time. I teach for free. The only thing we can ask for is a cup of water in this tradition.
And I'm sure you accept donations so that you can continue to do this wonderful work that's so important for the world.
Yes.
And urge people to visit you on Instagram, Venerable Tridao, and TikTok, and you have a YouTube as well. And
Facebook.
Be generous with your gratitude.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Until the next time.
My friend.
Yes, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
It's wonderful. Thank you all for tuning in. I have another assignment. That's why the phone's been going off. And I have to fly over there. Thank you.